Yay Networks.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Spill the Beans podcast.
We are here to talk to you guys today. Babe, hold on, look.
No, you said I'm an expert. I can fix it myself. So fix it.
Okay, there, it's fine. Anyways, it is Thursday or Friday, whenever you're listening to this. Happy July, guys. We're literally in July, and I feel like this is the fastest summer has ever gone by in my entire life. So yeah, anyways, we have a lot to talk about and to catch you guys up on, especially Jonathan. You're about to spill the tea, huh, babe?
Me?
Yeah.
No, you're about to spill the tea. Tell us. You went on a girls trip, babe. How was that?
Yeah, guys, so it was so short notice, like last minute planned. Juani and I have been wanting to visit Lulu for a long time, and we ended, since Lulu wasn't able to go to the Rock'em brand trip, we wanted to do something with her too, because you guys know how we were able to take pictures in the booths. We had a meet and greet. It was an amazing brand trip for Rock'em, and we wanted to, include Lulu in a way that we didn't want her to feel like she missed out on it. So we ended up planning a girls trip. Sorry, my brain was loading, but we ended up planning a girls trip to Houston. Lulu deserves it so much. She's a mom of 2 now, and she deserves a little girls trip, and we worked a lot. She uploaded probably like 10 TikToks, everyone vlogged, but most of all, we had a photo shoot for Rock'em, so it was so amazing. Lulu literally said, I want this to be a novela photo shoot with horses, and I want to wear super cute like novela outfits, and we ended up making it happen. Well, I was just there, but Juani ended up making everything happen. She is the Houston queen. So we literally were out there for 2 nights and 3 days, and it was amazing and perfect.
Yeah. So, fellas, if you're listening to this, boys trip coming up very soon, because Dad needs his trip too.
No.
Vegas, Colombia, Puerto Rico, photo shoots out there. Let me know.
Anyways, so yeah, I was a little bit nervous because Jonathan has stayed with Franco. He stayed with him when I went to Lulu's launch trip, which was in February, and he was about
February?
Yeah, he had just turned 1 because it was February 1st, and then he stayed with Franco again when my mom and I went on a girls trip for Mother's Day, and that was in May, so he was still a little bit older, right?
Yeah.
And
no, he was younger.
Bro. And so now Jonathan and Franco's relationship is so good. Like, I know if I go to get my hair done for 5 hours, they're gonna be perfectly fine. And back then, like the February 1st trip, I was super nervous because I was still exclusively breastfeeding. And no, cierto, I wasn't exclusively breastfeeding. I was still breastfeeding. He was eating. So the problem there was that he had to nurse to go to sleep. So that was my main concern. Like, how is Jonathan going to put this kid to bed, And how did you, babe? Do you remember?
Aguantadas. Just kidding.
BFFR.
No, it was just rocking him. That's the rocking stage. Just had to sleep him in my arms, basically.
Yeah. So now this time around, I was like, okay, I'm going to be gone for 2 nights and 3 days. Franco doesn't nurse. He doesn't have to take a bottle at night. Basically, our game plan every single day is get him as tired as possible, get all of his energy out so that when he goes to bed, he literally just falls asleep. You don't have to rock him, sing to him or whatever. And that's what you did, huh, babe?
Yeah.
I was a little bit stressed also because I left Jonathan on a really, really busy week. He had so many things to do, guys. And for me, it wasn't so much that I had to help him with it, is that I had to support him, and like I had to let him do his own thing all day, every day, and I couldn't do that. So I was just stressed because of that. But you still got a lot of work done, so that's good. And so now I'm gonna let him take it away, guys, because I got a lot of DMs asking me like, oh my god, you left him with Jonathan, like, aren't you scared, nervous? And I'm like, well, why would I be? I'm the only,
First
nothing
of all,
made me nervous.
I can't take all the credit, guys. Obviously, my suegra comes in the mornings and she helps me look out for Franco while I take care of business and work, edit, do all that stuff, go to the mail, come back from the mail, and then also do just some personal things like the gym, run, and stuff like that. And so I can't take all the credit. She basically watches them from like 10ish to like 3. So that gives me 5 good hours to do like full 100% work. And then in the afternoon, my parents would obviously, help me with the tiring, not so much taking care of him because I'm there, but just tiring him out. Like we go to the park, we play soccer, we do all that. So I'm glad that we have, I married someone that I can get along with, and then she married someone that she gets along with my family. So, I'm very blessed and fortunate for that to be happening in our life, because I know a lot of you guys can't say the same, oh, I hate my suegra. Oh, my suegros don't even want to see my baby, which is really sad. I literally have to fight my parents to get Franco back at the end of the day, or like at night. They really want him to stay, but I'm like, no, you don't know how he is at night, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, guys, the first time you left in February, I basically, was it February, babe? That seems so long ago.
It was February 1st. That was the day of her launch party.
Really?
I remember. I have it. Yeah.
Anyways, that was the first time that you left Franco alone with me, like for like a whole night. And how many days was that?
That was just
2?
1 day. I came back the next morning, remember?
Really? What? I'm picturing a day where I was by myself for like 2. Was it your mom? Because that one felt like your mom wasn't here. So
that's when you were nervous, because my mom was also gone. So it's like I can't just call my son and be like, oh my God, what if he does this and this,
Yeah. So basically, guys, the bone I have to pick with you guys, and when I say guys, I mean actual guys. Any guys listening to this, or ladies, this is a perfect podcast to have your husband, your boyfriend, or just, even if you don't have kids, make him listen up. And if you do have kids, then, kind of sneak that podcast in here. Fellas, I hate being a girl's girl. I mean, a girl's girl. I hate being a girl's guy. I hate, not advocating. I love advocating for women. I just mean.
You need to go back to sleep, babe.
I mean, I hate being on the girl side sometimes, but sometimes it's necessary, because we just need to do better as men, because it is shitty when, luckily I had a great dad to look up to, and then a mí se me ha pasado, if my dad was a great dad with twins, llegó un punto where my dad had 2 twins in his arms after getting off from a 12-hour shift and putting them to sleep, and then my mom had another one, so it was almost like he had triplets, and I saw how hard he worked all day, and then still came home and took care of 3 babies without ever telling my mom, no, estoy cansado, no quiero. And then when the babies would go to sleep, I would see my dad, doing the dishes, mopping, sweeping. So I had a very good example. I can't take all the credit for that either. But yeah, guys, it's so freaking sad that the number one DM. No, I asked you guys on questions, right? Would you leave your baby with your boyfriend / husband? And I was going to be I thought the reaction, I asked that question so I could repost them in a positive way. Yes, my husband is so hardworking, and he still helps out with their child. Oh my God, my baby girl and my husband have such a genuine relationship, or a beautiful relationship, whatever. And it was the complete opposite, guys. I opened up my answers, and it was so freaking sad. It was no, not until my baby can talk so they can tell me if my husband did anything to them. I was like, what? Are you that? Your husband, the baby's dad, is their dad. It's their blood, their other half. They put half of the work into making this little being, and then no, my husband is too some of them were normal. My husband's too nervous. My husband can't do it, blah, blah, blah. Or others were no, legitimately, my husband would never, he doesn't want to. He says he works all day, pays all the bills. So why would he take care of the kid at night, blah, blah, blah. So then I was like, wow, that's really sad. For one, where's the love, fellas? Where's the love for your child? And second, it's very sad that a mom can't trust. Sometimes it's the mom, porque sí había unos responses that were very the mom can be a little exaggerated sometimes. Have you trusted your husband? Have you gave him the opportunity? Because a lot of girls were hell no, I would never trust my husband. Hell no. But it was them being nervous, or them not being able to take that initiative. But others were very no, because I don't trust my husband. What do you mean you don't trust your husband with your baby girl? Let's put the most extremes. Manly man with your baby girl. What that gives me the same ick as who did we have this? It was a thing going around. It's would you was it TikTok?
Yeah.
It's would you let your husband change your baby girl's diaper?
Oh yeah.
And in my head, what's the issue here? What
Like I feel like if you wouldn't let your husband change your baby girl's diaper, that is a red flag for you, girl.
That's
like,
a red flag,
why?
and you know it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you wouldn't like? First of all, you married the wrong person. If you even have a slithering of a doubt that you wouldn't let your husband get around your baby girl's private parts and all that, or two, when your husband says no, I don't want to, like that also gives me a red flag. Like, why? Like, what are you thinking? What makes it weird? You know what I mean? Like. Take it away, babe. I'm heated.
So yeah, guys, that was my a lot of my DMs were like, he's such a great dad, like, oh my god, this and that. And for the longest time I've seen girls be like, oh yeah, my husband's babysitting the kids. And it's like, why babysitting? Like, that's if you hire someone to come take care of your kids. That isn't your husband,
the joke
right?
we have with Adrian, the inside joke from nowadays, because one time I think was Adrian over, and then or he said it in front of you, like, hey bro, like, oh, it's because you have to babysit the kids. And you're like, he has to be a dad? So every time we see Adrian and something involving Franco, he's like, oh, sorry, bro, you have to be a dad. So it reminded me of that.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I'm like, what do you mean babysit? Like, they just have to be a dad to their kids, So for a long time, I would get messages asking me, like, how do you let Jonathan babysit? Like, what do you do, this and this? And I used to think that if I ever had to go on a girls trip, that if I ever had to go out of town, I would have to like write down a list for Jonathan and tell him at this time he has to do this, at this time he has, and for the longest time I was nervous because I'd be like, oh, what if he just doesn't do this? What if he doesn't feed him? What if he doesn't change him? But I think that you know who you marry, and I think you know the type of dad that your husband will be, because we always talk about the beginning. When Franco was born, it was freaking crazy, girl. It was a blur because.
Or even go back more to the beginning, babe.
Like
because you always give this example when we got Ozo.
Yeah.
Remember? Like, because I know a lot of people right now are thinking, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the privilege I have, that I don't work a normal job, so I can stay with my child.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't mean a crap. And I don't want to be like, well, how do you know if you had to work a hard construction job all day, you would still come be with your son?
Yeah.
Guys, if I did it with a freaking dog, a dog that pisses me off and would like destroy everything, why wouldn't I do it with my son? So when we got Ozo,
you would wake up at 6. No, you had to be leaving by 6 a.m. So you wake up like half an hour earlier so you could go take him out. He would do his needs, and then you would leave him back inside with me, and I wouldn't have to take him out until I woke up like at 9-10. And then he would get home from work, literally wouldn't even get out of his work clothes. He would just start like training him how to sit, training him how to go out and potty. He would go he started training him at our apartment how to like stay near us. So we didn't take him out on a leash very often, just if we were gonna leave the actual apartment. But Jonathan would get off work and still continue to do everything and be a dad essentially to Ozo until we had to go to bed. And even then, like on Saturday morning, he would wake up and he'd be barriendo, he'd be mopping, he'd be washing the dishes. He would get home from work, and if I had cooked a meal, he would wash the dishes after. It was never like he expected that because he got home at 7 p.m. that he was just gonna eat and go to sleep. Ever. And even aside from that, we would still sit down and watch a movie, and that would make him go to sleep like 11:30, 12, and he would still wake up at 5 to go to work. So it's like essentially the person you marry from the moment that you marry them. And I feel like there's so many red flags with animals, with pets, and that's why we always say that getting a pet isn't an easy job, but we always say, like, if you think you want to have a baby with this man, get a pet first and see how they treat them. Because for the longest time, even after having Ozo, even after having Chai, I was like, oh my god, like, how is it gonna be this and this? But when we had Franco, it was a blur, right? And we were both able to be with him, and I didn't have to leave him with him for a long time. If anything, I started going to like my nail appointments here and there. But as he started getting older, when I left to the trip in February, I was a little bit nervous, but even then I didn't leave him a list of things he had to do, because Jonathan is with me all the time and he knows what Franco needs, and I feel like we both know like what type of cries, right? Because you know how they're like, the baby's cry if he needs a diaper change, if he's hungry, if he wants to do this and this. So when I left for these 2 nights and 3 days, I was kind of scared. I was happy because I knew my mom would be here, right? And I knew my mom like helps Franco, like, how would I say it? she feeds his emotional needs a lot. And with Jonathan, Franco's a completely different baby, guys.
We'll get into that here soon too.
Not. With me and my mom, Franco's very what would you say, like cheapy, you know, like he's very emotional. He knows he'll get his way. He will not throw tantrums, but es más renegadito with me and my mom, you know. But because I feel like he knows, I have them wrapped around my fingers, they will do whatever they want. As soon as Jonathan gets home, or as soon as I leave Franco with Jonathan for a bit, I'm like, oh my babe, is he fussy? Like he was fussy this morning. Well, he's just chilling. He's playing games.
Guys, literally
like,
to the point where on Thursday, my suegra was watching him all morning, and then when I was gonna drop her off, she's like, anda bien renegado, like dale, ahorita que llegues a la casa, le das Tylenol because I think he's getting sick. Like anda super renegado, like yo creo que se va a enfermar, blah blah blah. I was like, you know, already in my head, I'm like, you know, I already know what's going on. I drop her off, come home, guys. He's being an angel. Not that I obviously mistreat my child or anything like that, but he just senses a sense of like strictness with me that he's like, all right, like I'm just gonna give you a little example so you guys know what path I'm leading. He really, when he watches TV, he wants to watch exactly what he wants to watch, but in the sense that you have to click through 10 videos to find the one he likes. So obviously I'm like, that's not okay because he asked for it in a not an okay way. Like
in a demanding way.
In a demanding way instead of being patient. We're trying to teach him patience. So I'll be like, no pa, esta y ya. No le voy a cambiar. I just talk to him like normal, like an adult. No le voy a cambiar. And then he does this thing where like, he puts his head on my shoulder, y ya, like me abraza, and then he just looks at the show that I leave on. But if Blanca's here or we're in the car, because he hates the car seat, that's the only time he really gets TV time. Like, and then Blanca will be like, no, esa pa, like, esa ya, no, like he turns into Taz, and I'm like, wow, like, so basically, long story short, when Franco's with me by himself, he's an angel, he's an absolute angel, but he's an angel. I want you guys, and I also tell Blanca, I want you to know that it's not in the like, he's afraid of me type of way, it's that he knows he's not gonna get his way with being renegado, with being loud, with being like, screaming. He gets his way with me with like love. Like he'll hug me, he'll say por favor, like sign language, more cookies, stuff like that. Whereas like he won't even try to sign language with you. He'll just straight punch you in the leg and you ask for a cookie, you know? So yeah, that's the difference.
And so when I was recién aliviada, like postpartum, I would always look at TikToks about how dads can build a relationship with their baby, whatever. And then the one TikTok that stood out to me, it's you have to let a dad parent the way he's gonna parent. Because, and I remember at the beginning, I kind of took it, what am I gonna say? Because I didn't do it on purpose, but I remember like Jonathan would be doing something like, oh my God, don't do it like that, you have to do this, you know, with Franco. And I remember that ticking him off because it's like, well, at least I'm trying, or this is the way that I want to do it, you know?
Yeah, because it's my kid too.
Exactly.
And I deserve to try to parent my style. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's going to be things that no pasan. Like my growing up, I was hit a lot. Obviously, Blanca's going to stop me, or I'm not going to do that because I didn't like it, right? But like there's things that where I'm like, babe, I need to be strict with him, or we need to show him patience and stuff, or else he's just going to turn into a tornado. Yeah. And then you kind of let me, you know? Yeah,
so slowly I started letting him do whatever he wanted. And it comes in a lot of different forms. Like, okay, babe, can you change Franco for the day? And I might not love his outfit because I love putting him in matching sets. I love putting him in cute clothes, aesthetic, you know, clothes. And Jonathan brings him out with a Marvel shirt and like some pants with a different pattern that I don't even like. But I'm like, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, not that. Like, can you change him? It's going to be like, okay, well, thanks, babe, you know?
Okay. When do you ever say that? But
babe,
okay.
Come on. There's been times I'm like, really, bro?
Is black socks.
Oh, yeah. Black socks are my biggest ick in, not even, like, just say in general. Like, I don't like black socks. So I don't let him wear. I told him that he gives me like bad kid vibes when he wears black socks. Silver tooth kid vibes. So that is the best advice that I've ever took, is let a dad parent the way he's gonna parent, let him feed him the way he's gonna feed him. And so that's why I never left him like a list. And even this last time I was like, you know what, I'm gonna write him a list, like at this time give him this and this and this. But I'm like, Franco communicates so well now that Jonathan knows exactly what he wants, you know, and he points at exactly what he wants, and Jonathan knows his nutrition intake. Jonathan knows everything. So I think that even if your spouse is to work a 9-to-5 job and you're not with each other all the time, like all three of you guys or all of you and the kids, they should still know how to care for your baby. And you shouldn't have to leave a list like if it was a babysitter, because in a sense, like, that is still their dad. And that is my biggest takeaway, because I know for a fact that if Jonathan was still working his 9 to 5, he would get home at 6 and he would still, like, that from 6 to whatever time Franco goes to sleep, he would be with him. And I would be like, oh yeah, so today he did this and this and this. Or you would text me during your lunch break, hey, what has Franco done today, you know? So I would keep him updated to the point that he would still know what to do. And even then, like, weekends, he wouldn't be like, oh babe, like, I'm gonna sleep in because I'm tired, whatever. No, he would wake up with Franco and still give me, like, let me sleep in, you know? I don't think that anything would change if Jonathan were to still work a 9 to 5. And that is the biggest thing that I want to get in you guys' head. Like, don't ever feel guilty for leaving your children with their dad, ever, unless that's a red flag and you don't trust your husband. But
yeah. So now, ladies, we go to the audience that is listening to this that maybe might not have kids, and like, you're like, you know, I love listening to you guys, but when you talk about kids and marriage, it's like, I can't really relate. No, you can relate, because you have to learn and do better than the rest of the people that have already are too far deep. Does that make sense? I feel like this podcast, guys, and this might sound a little like you guys be like, oh, you know, you're exaggerating. Oh, you're just making us, you know, feel good, or no estás chiviando. But you guys are literally, I feel like, it's like, now I understand when they say like sisterhood. I'm a sister. And no, you guys are like my sisters. Son como mis hermanas. And I'm like, if I can give you these tools or these like flags for you to like observe and kind of like, I want that. I don't want you to marry a man or, you know, have a kid with someone that like, oh my God, he's cute. Oh my God, he's tall. Oh my God, he drives a lowered single cab truck. Es un K. Okay, that's great and all, girl, but that's all gonna end, okay? Se va poner panzón, se va poner arrugado. Is he gonna be a good dad? Is he gonna be a good husband? Like, that's what I want you to take away from this podcast. And I know there's a girl watching this. Maybe you're getting ready for a date. Maybe you're getting ready this weekend for a date when you guys don't have school or don't have work, and he's gonna pick you up. Like, learn these little mannerisms, like, it's okay to be a mama's boy, right? I know a lot of guys that are mama's boys, and they just, I envy the way they love their moms. It's very nice and beautiful, but it's like 9 out of 10 times, is that mama's boy gonna learn to even do his own laundry? Does he even know how to sweep or cook? Because a lot of things that that Blanca hypes me about, like me, like coming home or like on the weekends when we had our little apartment, cooking and cleaning, I can't take credit for that, guys. My mom taught me everything. My grandma would put my uncle to clean in front of me. So then my mom would do the same with me. It's like my mom's like, no te estoy enseñando a recoger, a limpiar para que seas un buen esposo. No, te estoy enseñando a recoger, limpiar, cocinar para que sobrevivas. Because I expect you to get out of this house at 18, not with a wife, by yourself as well. And how are you going to live in a filthy apartment with eating just junk food because you can't make your own food? That's what my mom taught me. So this is what I want to like kind of encourage you ladies that are maybe like, I don't have a husband, I don't have a boyfriend. Next podcast or whatever, you're going to the podcast de puro chisme, puro, like, this is boring you, but I just, because I do care for you guys, and we want the best for you, you know?
yeah, and I remember to this day that back then when Jonathan and I were in our like prime toxic relationship, people would be like, why are you with him? What do you see in him? And I just remember being like, I see so much potential in this guy as a husband, because I remember even when we were dating, I would show up to his house on a Sunday morning and he'd be sweeping. And even now to this day, like, our friends that have been our friends for over 2 years or 3, they're like, oh my God, Jonathan is so good. Like, he's just so good to you and he's so good to Franco. Like, what did you do? And my answer is always like, I didn't do anything. Nunca le exigí
She
nada.
long-term invested.
You were a long-term investment, babe.
You were like, you know when the guy like this is fucked up, but like when
Babe, don't say you're gonna get canceled.
no, it's not fucked up. It's like, you know when a guy or girl they marry or they get with like kind of like the ugly duckling, and then through puberty, not puberty, but through like, you know, working out, they get like really hot.
They have glow ups.
Yeah. But I feel like you were like, he's toxic and he treats me like shit, but he would be a really good dad, you know?
Yeah,
sure
and
enough,
I just think because I knew, like, Jonathan would always tell me stories about his uncle. He would always tell me stories about he was always taught never to let a girl get to your head, never to let a girl see your verte la cara de menso or whatever. So with him telling me that, I'm like, okay, so how do I get his mentality to change, right? But even after that, I've always said he was a very good son. He was a good friend. He was a good student. He had morals. You know?
Yeah,
so that's why I would always be like, no, like I see potential in this guy. So now, and we always talk about this, I didn't tell him to change. He changed by himself. I didn't go looking for him to get him back. He came looking for me to get back together. It was just a lot of little things. So that's why we always say never use a relationship as goals. We're just an exception, girl, that out of miracles, we ended up working out, you know? So never think that we want you guys to settle. Never think we want you guys to wait for someone that may potentially never change. And it's just because once you think about it, this person that you are so in love with, infatuated with, you have to make sure that you are going to be with them on the long run, where if you have problems already, a baby isn't going to fix it. Marriage isn't going to fix it. The only thing is going to fix it is them changing and them wanting to be in a good relationship with you. So that's why we always talk about it, because we did start at that toxic phase. And like now we look like this, success story of this amazing family that loves each other, whatever. But we had to go through a lot. And I'm not saying that you have to go through a lot. It's just saying that you see potential in this person to become a good dad, in the sense, because even if you guys have a baby and you end up divorcing, guess what? He still had to be a dad to that guy, to that little boy, to that little girl. So you have to make sure you have to make sure that if you guys end up divorcing, you're gonna have a good co-parenting relationship with them, you know. And I know it sounds so exagerado of us to be like, oh my god, girl, I'm just dating him and you want me to already think about having kids with him. But it's like, if you are thinking if you're thinking long term, then yeah, you do have to make sure. And that's why a lot of people end up divorced and a lot of people end up being single parents, because you just don't think about the things that you should. Yeah. Because you're too infatuated with them. But yeah, anyways, this girls trip was a success. And Jonathan, had fun with Franco, huh, babe?
I had a blast, guys. Like literally, Franco, the older he gets, with me, the mejor que se porta, in the sense that he's a baby. When I say porta, I mean like it's easier, I guess, not like his attitude. To the point where Jonathan can go out to eat with him, he can take him to the grocery store, and Franco will be fine. And with me, he just wants me to hold him and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I feel very blessed that I have a good husband and a very good dad too. Thanks, to my baby. Thanks. And Noemi, our comadre, actually saw. She's like, I saw that in your caption the other day. You said, I can't wait to have more mini yous. What does that mean? I was like, yeah, I think as you have kids and as you see how your husband is a parent to the baby, you just want to have more. You know, you just why don't you now that I think about it, I'm like, why don't I want 4 kids? Like, what the hell? Yeah. Those are the people that I'm gonna come home to, Jonathan and my 4 kids. Like, why wouldn't I want to have more? Si Dios quiere, if that's my plan, you know, or if that's God's plan for me. So yeah, a lot of people were shook at that caption. Parenting it's difficult when you're the complete opposite person. Like me and Blanca, guys, I think that Blanca and I truly were put in this world for a purpose, and that purpose. Part of that purpose is going to be revealed here soon, but I mean like in an overall lifespan, like we've gone through so much shit for us to God to still be like, no, like, you know, when kids play with 2 Barbies and they're like, kiss, like that, like you force them, and God has like, I don't care if he's toxic. I don't like, this will work out because you're going to help out so many people. Same way with our parenting style. Like something happened the other day, babe, or like we are just so complete opposites. Like I feel like it was eating or something. It was such a good example. I was like, this is such a good example of how freaking different we are. I can't remember what it was, but guys, even our taste buds, like it's so sad that like if Blanca says that a restaurant's good, I already know it's not going to be good for me. And if I tell her, babe, I just tried this bomb ass blah blah blah, etc., restaurant food, blah blah blah, she already knows. We have to take everything we say with a grain of salt, because we're just so opposite. But during parenting, when Franco was little, we struggled a lot, and I was like, fuck, like I know she has a parenting style, and it's gonna be very like libre, like liberal, and I'm more conservative and like the sense like rancho mentality. It's like, how are we gonna make this work? We're just gonna end up fighting and breaking up because I don't want to be with someone that doesn't want to, like, you know, blah blah blah. But now you take all the negative and you flip it around and you make the best out of it. I'm like, gracias a mi esposa, like thanks to Blanca, Franco has this emotional side. Thanks to him, he can maybe cry in the future. Maybe he can express himself. He can laugh. He can, like, I don't know. He can just be like, he can let his feminine side out more and just be an overall well man. Because in order to be a good man, you kind of have to understand how women think. And we're like, for example, Blanca, if she didn't have me and had maybe a man that thought like her, then Franco probably would never learn how to change an oil. Or maybe like when sometimes Franco scratches himself and I'm like, because I already know Blanca wants to go and pick him up when he falls. I'm like, no, let him watch. And then we let him and he's like, he se rasca sus rodillas. He's like, y ya. He goes and keeps playing. Whereas, like, if I would have not been there, or Blanca, you know, he starts crying and bawling. He's like, oh, my boo-boo. But these little like key memories develop him into a good man, you know? So I don't know. I think we've learned to not see it as a negative thing, that we don't think the same.
We've learned to compromise. Yeah. And there's a lot of things that you can't compromise. In example, hitting. Like if Jonathan wanted to be like, oh, I'm going to slap his little, what is it?
Butt cheeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna smack his butt cheeks. I'd be like, you're not gonna touch my little boy, you know. Yeah. So there's things that are not compromisable.
If anything, it's me, guys, because I know the damage that hitting can do.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so there's a lot of things like that. But I feel like for the most part, we do compromise because I'm very thankful that Jonathan is that way, because now, like, if Franco falls, we know when he's really hurt himself because he'll cry, you know. But if he just falls and, like, scratches himself a little bit, he just, like, gets up and he's like, okay. And then he keeps going with his day, you know. And it's just different like that because I do kind of let him do whatever he wants. But with Jonathan, it's like, okay, babe, you can't just soltarle las riendas, you know. Like, there has to be boundaries that he can't cross. So there's just, like, a lot of things that we help each other with, and I think that's good because even Jonathan, he's not emotional at all, and I wouldn't say he's emotionally unavailable, but I would say that it's very tough for you to show your emotions. Yeah. But I know that even though he's like that, like, he's still gonna accept Franco if Franco becomes an emotional kid. Yeah. You know, and if that's how he expresses himself. And I know that Jonathan's gonna be accepting. I know that Jonathan's not gonna be like, boys don't cry. Like, Jonathan's gonna be like, no, like, you can express your emotions, but let's sit down and talk about it and, like, tell me how you really feel. Like, you don't have to cry all the time, you know, like, yeah, just like different things like that. Like, I know that Jonathan will have his boundaries and I will have my boundaries, and as long as we both respect them, I think we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. I think we'll be. I think.
Are you?
No, I'm just saying it because I don't like to. I've learned as I get older, babe, I don't like to just say, this is how, you know?
Yeah.
I'll just like, si Dios quiere, you know?
Si Dios quiere.
Just put it in his hands. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for all the feedback we've been getting recently, all the love. On the last podcast, you guys really liked how we ended it. You know, a lot of you guys were looking for that message with God, and I'm glad some of you guys are getting closer. I can't wait to share the stories we have revolving, because right now, we might be happy, we might be smiling. You guys see our Instagram stories, but we're going through some shit right now. And it's tough, you know, it's tough. And Blanca was like, are we going to ever tell them? And I'm like, no. But then she's like, you know, we share everything. And I think because she was going to start vlogging it when we were outside of this place that we had to go to. And then I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, you know, I'm going to vlog. I'm like, no, like, don't vlog this, you know, like, this is a very vulnerable point in our life. But she's like, but exactly, you know, we gotta, because there's so many people that can relate to what we're going through right now. And so now she kind of taught me, like, she changed my mind about it. So you guys will be learning about, but like for now, be nice to people, guys. You know, sometimes I get roasted on TikTok for things I say or on here on, you know, oh, Jonathan, you're so dumb. How is yoga the devil? You know, just like, I'm not perfect, and neither is the person working the drive-through or your neighbor or your teacher. So just be nice to everyone, guys, because you never know what they're going through. So that's all I'm going to say.
Wow, babe, that was very good. I'm going to start crying. But I just feel like you guys should just, at the end of the day, respect everyone's opinions, because that is just that, their opinion, and you can't change someone's opinion. If you have a different one, that's cool. Go on about your life, respect it, y ya, y se acabó. Because if you guys have seen my recent TikTok, I was talking about Alpha Land, and we talked about it in the last podcast, but I was talking about it, and some people, literally 99% of the comments were like, yeah, Alpha Land sucks, like the people there suck. And then the 1% were like, girl, like, why don't you just like work out and mind your business? Like, why did you pay so much money to care about what people think about you, stuff like this? And I was like, you know what, I was just sharing my experience, my opinions, and that's it. Like, I'm not saying this is how it is and this is how Alpha Land was, you know. So just take that as an example. Like, if you don't agree with someone's opinion, you don't have to. You just have to respect it and go on about your day, you know. And be kind. All you have to do is be kind to people, and I promise you, you will receive kindness back.
Yeah. I think I'll end it on a thing that has to do with what happened yesterday, babe.
Okay.
Because a lot of you guys, I remember I used to do like the daily motivations, and now that we're the feedback of us talking about God is positive, because I know a lot of you guys don't really care about it or whatever, but it's our podcast, so we're going to do what we feel is right in our heart. So I had this example yesterday, babe. Actually, you were sleeping Franco when Santi Jimenez scored that Mexico goal. Mm-hmm. And this is so weird because I'm not saying I'm special or anything. It's actually quite like a bad thing that I see life through this. But you know how, let's say you're watching a movie, right? And the two characters are talking. Because you're like this, you're seeing the people talk, right? I'm not seeing what the camera wants me to see, the two people talking. I'm seeing behind them. Mm-hmm. Like the details that really don't matter, which that's what I'm saying sometimes can be a bad thing, because it causes me to have anxiety. It causes me to see things that I maybe shouldn't have seen. Like, I kind of start feeling weird towards people because I'm like, I know they didn't see me see that. So then I'm like, they're kind of fake now, like at parties and stuff, So then whatever, fast forward. Yesterday, you guys know that we're filming this on a Monday. Sunday, Mexico won the Gold Cup. They beat Panama, and the one that scored it was Santi Jimenez. Anyways, I followed this Gold Cup journey, the whole tournament. It was like 4 games, and I followed it because Santi Jimenez, he's a very good player in Europe. This was his first time playing for Mexico, and this is so weird this is so funny how I pay attention to details. He's new to Mexico, right, for the team. So he would sub in like halfway or kind of 2/3 into the way. But every time he would come in, the very first game for Mexico he played for, I could see on the sidelines, and they showed it for like a lot for some reason. They showed him praying. Like the ref put up his number to sub out, and they put his number, and while he's waiting for the player to leave and so he can come in, he's praying. And it looks like, I've seen players, se persinan and they go in, but you can see Santi's like, it's his first game for Mexico. He's really praying. Like, you can see his mouth. If you had one of those lip readers, you could almost like see what he was praying about if you really wanted to. And I was like, wow, he's really like, this means a lot to him, and obviously he wants to do good. Bombs it. Doesn't even, probably touches the ball twice, blah, blah. Next game, goes in for the last 15 minutes. Has this sick-ass opportunity to score his first goal for Mexico. Bombs it. And everyone's like, fuck, like, he does so good in Europe. Now he's sucking, blah, blah, blah. But again, he prayed before he came in. Third game, gets like 5 minutes. I don't even think he played that game. They lose, blah, blah, blah. This last Gold Cup game, he comes in, prays again, and he's praying and he's praying. Finally comes in the last 15 minutes. The last 2 minutes of the game, guys, 80th minute of the game. Boom, they pass to him. He like jukes the defender and he scores. And that, to me, guys, like while everyone's celebrating, like my suegros and the girls are screaming, I was looking, because I had compiled all these little details. I was like, and maybe not in that moment he's realizing it, but maybe when he gets home, he's like, God never let me down, or he never abandoned me. Like, he might have thought for those 4 games, like, God, like, why, I'm such a good player and you're not letting me score. You're not giving me the ball. You're not doing all this. I look like a failure to these Mexican people that they trust in me. And then God's like, keep trusting me, keep believing in me. I got your back. Don't stop believing in me. Boom. When it matters the most important game of the tournament to give them the championship, he scores it in like the best way possible. And it's like, because he never gave up. So the more of the story, guys, is like, never give. Right now, if you're going through something tough like we are, I could easily, like, I can't wait to talk about this, because there's so many weird things that God has been like showing me lately. But it's like, fuck God, like, this is stupid. Like, he probably doesn't even exist. Like, I've had those thoughts, you know, but I'm like, no, that's just the devil talking. Blah, 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 blah. And right now when the podcast got interrupted, it was like some, okay, you know, better news. And then it's like, wow, like, just don't lose faith, guys. Everything will be okay.
Baby, you want to know something crazy?
What?
Before I left on my trip on, when was it, Wednesday? I was home. Jonathan was at the gym and I was going to get ready. But before that, Franco's really into watching Noah's Ark right now. The song video. What is it? Mm-hmm. What can't I think? The YouTube video of Noah's Ark. And so I don't know why. I'm like on the way to the airport and I was like, I really want to watch that movie of the one where the guy from The Office, what's his name?
Oh, yeah.
¿Cómo se llama? El guy?
Steve Carell?
Yeah, you know how he's in a movie about Noah's Ark. I was like, I really want to watch it. So I was all looking it up and it's called, I literally put Noah's Ark movie, but it's called Evan Almighty.
Oh, Evan Almighty.
And I don't know why, like, I was so inclined to watch it. So I downloaded it on HBO Max and I watched it on my way to the to Houston. I don't know why I was bawling my eyes out on the airplane watching this movie, which was a little bit like comedic, I would say, but still taught you what it was, Noah's Ark. And it was so funny because one thing that God said in that movie was, you think that if you pray for something that God's just gonna give it to you, like you think like, oh, I want our family to be together, God's just gonna fill you with butterflies and fuzzy feelings with your family. No, like God's gonna give you an opportunity to be closer to your family, an opportunity to like accept and like be patient and support and be by your family's side through everything, you know, like the wife when she doesn't believe that Evan Almighty is Noah, you know. So I was like, holy shit, that is the craziest thing that I've heard, because like, yeah, we expect for God to mean like, oh God, I really really want this job opportunity, right? And then he doesn't give it to me, so I'm like, what the hell? But it's like he's giving you probably another opportunity, you know. It's not there, God isn't going to give you what you're asking for. He's going to give you what he knows that you need. So I think that's the best way to put it. It's like when you're praying, don't think that, oh, just because he isn't giving you what you want, that he's not real, you know. It's just that he's waiting to give you the opportunity that is going to make your life better, in a sense.
Yeah.
So that was crazy, because it's one of my favorite movies now.
Just learn how to read the signs, guys.
Yeah.
Read in between the lines, you know.
Yeah. But anyways,
thank you guys so much for watching and listening to another episode. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you next week.
Later.
Yay Networks.